I rather sense that certainly some Brentford fans are still having difficulty coming to terms with the events of this week. What would you say to them?
I think what I would say to the Brentford fans is that Matthew has been a fan of the club since 1979, that he's got the best interests of the club at heart, and that he believes that what we are planning for the future, the changes in philosophy and the way in which we want the club to go forward is for the long-term benefits of the club. We want the club to be sustainable and to remain or get into and then remain in the Premier League. That's our objective, and we believe that with the philosophy that we wish to adopt, that's something that we can achieve in the medium term.
Tell us a bit more about Matthew's philosophy. We've heard a bit about it over recent days, but
sure,
not a lot of detail.
No, well, obviously I don't want to go into too much detail, but as you all know, we believe in the idea of having a head coach and a director of football, very much based on the European model. And as we said in the statement, that whilst the head coach would have a lot of input into the recruitment decision-making process, that they would not have a veto.
Is that where the issue has been between Mark Warburton and the owner? That there was a veto on bringing players in?
That's certainly one of the issues, for sure. There are a few issues regarding the philosophy of how we do things within the club, but that's probably the one single issue that was perhaps causing the most angst.
Is it true that they clashed in January over players?
Well, I wouldn't
bring players in.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a clash. I would call it a difference of opinion. And although we tried to bring in a couple of players, we brought in two, but a couple of others we weren't successful. And a healthy discussion about transfer targets is always good, but ultimately, we weren't as successful as perhaps we would like to have been.
Tell me, what does Matthew see as the advantage of this philosophy, this idea of having a head coach and a sporting director? Although you put it a director of football, can I just clear that one up?
I'm not sure there's a great deal of difference between the two. I just prefer the term, the director of football.
Okay, so what is the advantage of that?
The advantage is that we believe that the European-based approach to running the football side of a football club, where the head coach looks after the team, but the director of football oversees everything on the football side of the business, which will include such things as transfers and targets, is a much more sustainable approach to have, so that if a head coach decides to leave or gets poached, you still have the director of football and the key other people in place to continue in the way that the club had been run previously.
I noticed in the statement Matthew's quoted as saying, "Innovation, not increased funding, is the only route to success as far as Brentford is concerned." But he does say that innovation is never without risk. Just how much of a gamble do you think this is?
Well, there are two ways in which you can do well. One is to do what everybody else does and try and do it a little bit better. And the other is to innovate and do things differently and try to gain an edge. And we believe that the second is the best approach to take. And as we've stated, yes, there is an element of risk to that. Won't necessarily get it right immediately. Very often in life it takes more than one go to get it right. And so we recognise that, but we're all about the long term. We're not about the short term. This is about the long term vision for the club and its sustainability, and we believe that that's the way to go.
Is there a concern that there might be a danger of it having an impact on this season, of disrupting the last 15 matches of this season?
I don't think so, because I know Mark Warburton extremely well and David Weir, and they are consummate professionals. I also know that the playing staff
just a little bit earlier there, though, that it might not happen immediately. Do you accept that it might be one step back to go 2 steps forward?
Yes, that's possible, of course. But the healthy debate is always good, and we have debated this at length, and we've taken everything into account, we've balanced everything up, and come to the conclusion that this is the right way forward for the long-term future of the club. And ultimately, it's the long-term future that we, the board and the owner, is keen most of all to see that we succeed.
How far advanced are you in terms of looking at a new head coach, a new football director?
We're at very early stages. We've had a couple of discussions, but no more than initial discussions, and it's something that we will continue to look at over the next couple of months and take it from there and see where we get to come the end of the season.
So what are the qualities that you're looking for in both posts?
Well, first and foremost, it's people who understand and buy into our philosophy. That's the most important thing, because we have a vision for how we want the club to run, and naturally the people that come in will need to accept and buy into it and show that they believe in what we believe in. That's the most important thing of all. And then it's about the type of person they are, how they can relate to the players, and how much they can get out of the players, which is also important.
It's a continental approach. Do you think it's more likely that they will be continental appointments, perhaps, rather than British appointments?
Well, we don't rule out British appointments. As I say, it's all about the philosophy. So if there is someone from Britain who buys into that philosophy and shows at interview that they're the person that we want, then I wouldn't rule that out. But it's more likely, I guess, that a foreign coach who is used to the kind of philosophies that we believe in is more likely to show that they're the right person. But we absolutely rule out nobody.
Is Paco Hamed at Rayo Vallecano someone that you've perhaps already made contact with? I mean, certainly he's been very strongly linked with a move to Brentford.
We've had a conversation with Paco, but it's been no more than a conversation about philosophies. As you would expect anyone we talk to, the first thing we will be doing is explaining how we see football and the way we would expect and want the club to be run, and we would naturally ask them how they would run their club if they were in the position of head coach, and if there's a difference, then clearly the talks would stop there.
What's your kind of time frame on all of this? I mean, obviously you need someone in place over the summer, but perhaps how soon might you actually be able to make an appointment?
Well, we are 100% behind Mark Walton and David Weir till the end of the season. They've both done a fantastic job in getting us to where we are today, and we fully expect them to continue to do an excellent job up to the end of the season. So there is no question of us appointing anybody before the end of the season. Our commitment to Mark and David is complete, and we will be working closely with them for the rest of this season to achieve as much of our objectives as we can.
I appreciate there might not be any appointment, but would there be an announcement before the end of the season or not?
No.
Okay.
I think that's very unlikely.
I noticed as well the statement said that the new recruitment structure will be a mixture of traditional scouting and other tools using mathematical modelling. Can you tell us a bit more about especially the mathematical modelling? I think most of us understand the traditional scouting methods, but...
Sure. Well, mathematical modelling is just an umbrella phrase to describe the use of science and data analysis to help us make informed decisions. Nothing more and nothing less.
And in terms of judging whether this will be a success or not, how will you measure it?
Well, I'm a great believer in what you can measure, you can manage, and if you can't measure it, then you can't possibly manage it. So measuring something is important, and we can do that by constant communication and review of how the team are doing. But it's not all about what position we are in the league. It's about whether we are adopting all of the philosophies and seeing how they play out. As I said, it's not without risk. Some of the philosophies may not work as well as others, and some of them may take time to work, so we have to balance all of that. But we're fully aware of what we want to achieve, and we'll make sure that we do everything we can. There'll be no stone unturned till we get to where we want to be.
And presumably that means the Premier League.
Absolutely, and sustainably in the Premier League.
That's all from me.
Cliff, Will from ITV News, just quickly, the last couple of weeks obviously have been quite difficult for the supporters. If you just had one message to explain to them what the club's going through, now the last 2 weeks they've dropped out of the top six, if there was one message for supporters, what would that be?
I think that my one message for the supporters would be to trust Matthew and trust the board. We have the long-term interests of the club at heart. I appreciate the last couple of weeks have been extremely difficult ever since the article appeared in the national newspaper, and we wanted to be sure that whatever we said we could back it up, and we didn't want to say something that wasn't right. And having discussed the position with the management team and tried to find solutions, ultimately when we got to the decision that we finally got to, we had to go through a due process, and that's why it took a bit of time to get to the announcement that came out a couple of days ago. And that's just good corporate governance, and we like to think we're a well-run club, and we had to take our time and make sure that what we said was the right thing to say at the right time, and it's just part and parcel of running a good business.